Welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Wednesday, January 30th, 2019. I am JD Keynes. The Inland Revenue Department is reminding business owners that the deadline for the renewal of business licenses is Thursday, January 31st, 2019. A business license issued by the Inland Revenue Department is valid for 1 calendar year and must be renewed on January 31st each year.
To renew the business and occupation license, first visit the Taxpayer Services Division of the Inland Revenue Department. The documents that are required are the remittance or the bill that was sent via mail, 2 valid IDs, preferably Social Security, National ID or passport. A copy of the business's annual return or certificate of renewal is required if the business is incorporated. If the license is not renewed on or before January 31st, a penalty of $50 per day is charged until the license is paid. Also, a 1% interest per month. We at the Inland Revenue Department encourages the general public to pay your taxes on time and be a responsible citizen.
Work has resumed on the construction site of the new water taxi pier at Oli Bay, with a new completion date and plans for a longer wharf. The Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Deputy Premier of Nevis and area representative for St. James Parish, made the announcements when he visited the site on Tuesday, January 29th. He expressed satisfaction that previous challenges with the project had come to an end and said the work is expected to be completed in the next 4 weeks.
I am pleased to say that we have overcome those challenges at this point in time. There was also some more challenges in terms of delay with the mobilization out of St. Martin to come back here to Nevis. As I just said, the badge is now here, the workers are here, and they are ready to push on with the final phase. We are just about 180 feet of pier that has been constructed so far. I will update the public and say that as a cabinet we decided that with the anticipated increase in traffic through this particular facility in terms of the usage by the general public and also the amount of boats that we expect to be plying the trade out of this particular facility, we anticipate in years to come that the initial length that we decided on, which was just about 200 feet of pier, and I would break that down to say that the actual pier itself is 180 feet, and also the T that is going to be placed at the end of that 180 feet would be about 16 feet wide. So we ended up with just about 196 feet of pier. Now with the addition of 120 feet, we'll end up with just about 316 feet of pier with the T at the end of the 300 feet. So we are preparing for what is to come in the future.
Minister Jeffers noted that the additional length would increase the cost, but assured that the Nevis Island administration has made provisions for the work.
The initial cost was just over $400,000 on the 196 feet of pier. But with the addition, to break it down, once one were to do the maths, you would end up with just about $600,000 or $596,000. Or a little over $596,000 when it's all said and done for 316 feet of actual pier.
After the pier is completed, renovation work will commence on the building that is on the site, which will be used for office space.
It's a phased approach, and it is important to get the pier in first, based on the finances that we had at our disposal. We have certainly budgeted for this particular renovation in this budget cycle. So we'll get that started shortly. The area would be fenced, or the entire property would be fenced to provide additional security, as is consistent with Charlestown and also the Long Point facility, because we are hoping to operate at the same level of security that exists at those particular facilities. That is mandatory for us to ensure that we are providing safety and security to all of the persons who would utilize this area, and also adhere to international standards when it comes to port facilities.
The water taxi pier is being constructed by Secure Marine Construction of St. Martin. In more news, the Nevis Disaster Management Department has commissioned a new fully equipped hydrometeorological station that has been erected at the New River Agricultural Station. The official commissioning followed a brief ceremony which took place at the department's Emergency Operations Center at Long Point on Tuesday, January 29th.
Today's event is a significant achievement, as prior to this station being erected, there was only one fully equipped hydromet station on the island of Nevis that met the specifications established by the World Organization. The addition of this station will complement the Nevis flood management system that comprises of 7 rain gauge stations, 2 water level stations, and 1 siren station. Data generated from this station will be formatted into hourly synoptic reports and transmitted via satellite into the global database that can be used for aviation purposes. This data will also be used in both the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology regional climate models and global models to produce resilient building information.
According to Director Brian Dyer, the data collected will include climate products such as rainfall and temperature outlooks that can be used across the agriculture, health, energy, water, industry, and tourism sectors.
Our federation faces many challenges, being located in the high hazard prone region of the world. The implementation of the USA Climate Change Adaptation Program, or CCAP as it is known, to reduce the risk to human and natural assets resulting in climate change vulnerability is therefore fitting and timely. It is important, therefore, that our collective actions be geared to enhance capacities required to strengthen disaster risk management systems to avoid disasters, or at least to mitigate the impacts or effects on our livelihoods and our environment.
The project is jointly funded by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, and the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center under the USAID Climate Change Adaptation Program.
It's very ironical that we're having this little ceremony in the disaster management entity in Nevis, because they are the first responders, and the earlier they get the information, the earlier they're able to send the signals down their implementation chain, and the better people will be prepared to deal with some of the surprises that we are experiencing now in the Caribbean. As I said, great pleasure to be here for this particular event. It's not an insignificant event in terms of what we're trying to do to build climate resilience across the Caribbean. And I'm pretty sure that the stations that we install here will remain functional over time with your attention and with your care.
Dr. Neville Trotz, Deputy Director of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center. Remarks were also made by Assistant Secretary with responsibility for disaster management, Rosil Jeffers. Following the ceremony, stakeholders who attended also visited the New River Agriculture Station to view the newly erected weather station. Still to come?
If you're going to enjoy benefits, you have to spend some time in the teaching profession.
The details after this break.
Trouble, trouble, trouble. Let me go. Everybody come. That one you're going mad. We are going to push forward. I want to hear everybody say, ready, ready.
Welcome back.
This is our 30th anniversary Know Your Rights seminar, and we have 2 presenters with us this afternoon. We have the Chief Labor Officer, Mr. Gary Liebert from the Department of Labor, and we also have the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Human Resources, Mr. Edson Elliott.
The Nevis Teachers Union hosted a seminar for its members on Tuesday, January 29th, when the union celebrated its 30th anniversary. The session took place at the Charlestown Primary School's auditorium, where Chief Labor Officer Gary Liebert made a presentation on the benefits, rights, and privileges of being a public servant.
Based on which category of worker you are, you have the same rights. Bear in mind you have the same rights, but you have different benefits and privileges. Established workers are pensionable. After 10 years, you could get a gratuity, 15, you could get a pension, 25, instant pension, and so on. Non-established workers, you're not. But there's some trust for having non-established workers pensionable. That's why the government auxiliary workers was passed.
Liebert also advised the teachers to familiarize themselves with the relevant legislation.
A non-established worker, if you are seeking redress or you are seeking for your rights, you will be guided by the Labor Act and the Protection of Employment. So non-established workers, if you have queries and something you want to ask about, of course you could ask HR. But if you're seeking for your rights in terms of whatever, you need to be at the Labor Department. In the future, maybe it would be amended, but presently, non-established workers, you are guided by the Labor Act and the Protection of Employment. Established workers, the Public Service Act and the regulations.
The second presentation was made by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Human Resources, Edson Elliott.
If you're going to enjoy benefits, you have to spend some time in the teaching profession. And so if you're going to enjoy your benefits, then you have to last a period of time. And that period of time, really, if you're going to enjoy substantial benefits, that period of time initially must be about 10 years. And if you do not understand the rules and regulations, some of us will not last the 10 years. Because we're going to do things that would put us in a position where our services would be terminated. And if your services are terminated, then there are no benefits for you to get. And so it's important that we understand the rules and regulations that we are governed by, so that we will have a long time in the profession and that we will then begin to enjoy our benefits.
Mr. Elliott's presentation explored the St. Christopher and Nevis Public Service Act, General Orders and Statutory Rules and Orders, the Education Act, the Pension Act, and the NIA's social media policy, as well as its financial assistance and student study leave policy. Liebert and Elliott also fielded questions from the teachers in attendance. In more news, all media houses and members of the press corps are cordially invited to the press conference, which will be hosted by Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, on Thursday, January 31st, 2019. The event will commence at 10 a.m. at the Cabinet Room on the second floor of the Social Security Building at Pinnis Estate. At that press conference, Premier Brantley will provide an update on matters of national interest, and members of the press will have the opportunity to ask questions. The press conference will also be broadcast live on Nevis Television, NTV Channel 99, NevisTVOnline.com, NTV Go app, NTV's Facebook page, and Nevis Newscast YouTube channel. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. I have been your presenter, JD Keynes. Good night.
This one is going out to the land of my birth, Queen City, Nevis.
Truly, one of the few places that has an untouched beauty that has captivated the hearts of many. Nevis is everything you imagine.